This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Jumbo set in there for SMU. Johnson the tailback. Play action. Rolls right. Being chased by Denison. Sutton throws. Juggled in. Complete at the 1-yard line. Penn State will get the ball on downs. The key. Wheatley broke it up. 2nd and 10. Bryan at their own 20-yard line. Trips far side, one near side. Jennings takes it. Wants to throw. Dumps it off. First man. Intercepted at the 20. 15. 10 to the 5. Touchdown, Penn State! Dominic DeLuca! Jennings on a low snap, steps away from pressure, steps away, looks downfield, throws downfield, intercepted, 45, Tony Rojas to the 50, Rojas to the 45, Rojas to the 40, 30, Rojas to the far side to the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Penn State, Tony Rojas with Penn State's second, pick 6 in the first half. Jennings on 2nd and goal at the 7. Takes it, wants to throw, deflected at the line of scrimmage, intercepted by DeLuca at the 15, DeLuca to the 20, and out to the 24-yard line. The Nittany Lions get their 3rd pick of the half and turn away SMU from point-blank range. Jennings takes the snap, back, pump fakes, denied, Dennison's got it back at the 38-yard line. The Nittany Lions take over on downs with 3:17 to go in the half.
And I think Jennings is hurt.
So it sets up a 3rd down and 2. And there we go, near side to the 10 to the 5. Touchdown, Penn State. K-Tron Allen. 36 seconds left in the half. 2 left, 2 right as Jennings goes back. Steps up. Pressure for Carter. Gets away. And in trouble, down he goes. Decked out at the 25-yard line. Finally put away by Keziah Izzard. And then he lines break the huddle quickly. Aller under center, turns, left side, touchdown, Penn State. The Nittany Lions convert and lead 27-0 with 1:03 to go in the half. 40-yard attempt, angle to his right. Tyler Duzansky will snap it. Riley Thompson will put it down. They're ready. Put down. Kick is up by Barker. The kick is on its way. The kick by Barker sneaks over and good. And the Nittany Lions counter the SMU field goal with a Ryan Barker field goal. Jennings takes it back. Pressure. Carter being held. Carter takes it down back at the 26-yard line. He would not be stopped.
Great job by Carter.
Allen is the running back. Aller under center. Turns K-Tron Allen up the middle. First to the goal line and into the end zone. Touchdown, Penn State. The Nittany Lions throw the left hook with 12:56 to play. Martin over the 20 to the 22, and that will do it. James Franklin's 100th Penn State win propels the Nittany Lions into the college football playoff quarterfinals. Boise State's next New Year's Eve in the Fiesta Bowl. The Nittany Lions win it 38-10 as the fireworks fly to celebrate Penn State's first ever college football playoff win.
That was Saturday. Hi, everybody. Hello, Todd.
Hello. There was a lot of highlights Saturday, wasn't there?
You know what? It's amazing. It was actually the high in terms of tickets sold, the most tickets sold of any college football playoff game for the weekend. And, 16,000 students and were like flat out into it. It really was a spectacular scene. And the people in front of us never sat down. Never sat down. It was unbelievable. And we're in the fourth quarter, and and we'd check the temperature and the wind chill. I can do that with complete ease on the iPad. At one point, it was 25 degrees with a wind chill of 6. These people are all still there. They caused, I think, 5, 6 false starts? I mean, there are a couple of points I made to you during the week. And I'll revisit that, but then I'll tell you, at least privately, what I thought. Now, I don't want to get into the danger now of well, you should tell us privately what you think all the time if that's what you think. No, I'm not going to. There are certain things I'm allowed to keep to myself or to talk with Jack about. Okay? I said that the noise would be an issue. They, of course, downplayed it. I said the cold would be an issue. They, of course, downplayed it. The wind more than anything else. And I said to Todd, I wonder who they're trying to convince, us or them? When I saw the SMU guys come out to warm up with no shirts on, there's 3 or 4 guys. Kidding. That tells me right away it's in your head. It tells me, every time I see that, it tells me right away it's in your head. I grew up in New England. I put a coat on. Okay? I grew up in New England. I've lived more than 2/3 of my life in Pennsylvania. I put a coat on. Right? I've never once in my life run out when it was 25 degrees without a shirt on. Ever. Why? It's stupid. Makes no sense. That told me right away. I said to Jack, see that? I said, mentally they're in trouble. I could see it right. You could see it right away. The other part I pointed out was this. There's a fine line between reckless and aggressive. And I believe I said this did I say this on the show last week?
I think so.
It's a fine line between reckless and aggressive, and SMU skirts it. All right. Now I'll get to the part that I didn't talk about last week. And I know for a fact I didn't talk about this because I only told one other person this. That was Jack. We're talking on Tuesday last week. And we'd gone through the SMU tape. We're talking about it. And he said, a year and a half ago, I was getting ready for the NCAA tournament with Texas A&M. And Dick Girardi and I were sitting in the restaurant out in Des Moines. And I said, I'm not watching any more Texas A&M tape. I said, I'm totally done with that. He says, I think I know your answer. He says, because my answer is the same. I said, yeah, because I think Penn State's going to kill this team. I said, I don't want to watch it anymore. Well, when I was talking to Jack on Tuesday, I said, Jack, I'm not watching any more SMU tape. He says, you think it's going to be a rout? I said, I think they'll kill him. Right? He said, guess what? I think it's going to be a rout too. Now, you're going to have people, why don't you say that on the show? It'll all make us feel better. That's not how things work, okay? Okay, it's not how life operates. We don't do it that way, okay?
I was going to say, somebody would find that in the internet, and that would be in Dallas on Thursday, probably.
Of course it would. Of course it would. But I didn't, And if you say, well, what do you think of Boise State? I haven't watched a single second of Boise State yet. And I'll be honest with you, they're a difficult team to at least initially get a gauge on, and here's the reason why. The reason is simple. The games that they played this year were almost all on CBS Sports Net, and there are a couple times on the road where I went to watch a game, and CBS Sports Net was not on the hotel list. I mean, I wanted to, their regular season game with UNLV, man, I really wanted to watch that game. Same thing with the championship game against UNLV. Although, was that game on CBS? No, I don't think so. I think it was on CBS Sportsnet, wasn't it? I couldn't see it.
I'm not sure.
I couldn't see it. I saw a little bit of Jeanty a couple times. He is an obviously incredibly talented player. 5'9", 215, so not big in stature. But, man, he is tough to bring down. Like I said, I saw some of it, a little bit of him. And just statistically, when you gain 2,497 yards, when you gain 2,497 yards in 13 games, you are an incredible, incredible force. Now I'm going to take you inside the numbers a little bit. And he has 1,800 of those 2,500 yards after contact. And, I mean, he averages 4.5 yards after contact. So it's amazing. I mean, he's just an amazing player. I would also like to point out that Penn State's two running backs are amazing players. So, how are they going to do this? Okay. So just so you know, this is how they will do it. They have today and tomorrow off. They will come back and do they did practice yesterday, by the way. They did practice yesterday. They have today, tomorrow off. Then they have a light practice on Christmas night. You're like, Christmas night? They're going to... You have to understand what the calendar is for Penn State. The ability to keep it on schedule. If you were to treat New Year's Eve as Saturday, okay? So let's take New Year's Eve, just make it Saturday, okay? That would mean Christmas is Sunday, right? And they always do the practice on Sunday. So let's go to the next part. So they're going to go Wednesday night, which is Sunday on the schedule. They always have Monday off, so they'll have Thursday off. Full practice here in State College on Tuesday. Full practice here in State College on Saturday. Then, after that practice, they will fly to Phoenix. Sunday will be a walkthrough. Monday will be Fast Friday. Tuesday's the game. And they'll come back on the 1st. Okay? So that's how they're doing it. This is not, it is a bowl game, but it's not a bowl game. All right? You're like, well, what does that mean? In other words, like, we're not going to SeaWorld, okay? There are no side trips, no steak fries, okay? Hey, no, let's go out and cacti hunt. Nope. None of that. That's not what this is. Okay, it's not what this is. Just so you understand, that's not what this is.
Isn't the Fiesta Bowl the one with the eating contest?
Yes, and then none of this stuff is. Well, actually, no. Lowry's does that too with the Rose Bowl, but that's not what this is. This is a business trip. This is a business trip. This is not like, hey, what a great reward for the season. No, you're playing for the national championship. When you're playing in the NCAA basketball tournament, you go in there 48 hours ahead. You do the mandatory open practice 24 hours ahead, and you play the game. Then, if you win the game, you get a private practice in the arena. Now, you also get private time in the arena, too. I mean, you usually, with the open practice, you actually go to another gym first, then you do the open practice. So, when Penn State was at Des Moines, they went to Drake and practiced on their floor first. Then they went to the arena downtown and then did the open practice, did the press conferences and everything go with it. Okay? It's a business trip. There was no like, hey, this is great. Let's go out and see corn. No. Hey, we're staying in West Des Moines. Let's go over to Caitlin Clark's house. No. Okay? That's okay. This is a business trip. That's all it is. Okay? And that's exactly the way I like it. I mean, like the Peach Bowl last year, I'll give you an example. The Peach Bowl last year, when we went to Ebenezer Baptist Church, we went over and saw Dr. King's grave and Coretta Scott King's grave. That was really like, wow, powerful, okay? The players got to go. I did not go to the Hall of Fame because I was busy with something else. But they got to do that. That's a bowl trip. And that's great. That's a lot of fun. That's like, a week. This is not that. This is like the NCAA basketball tournament. You are playing for the national championship. It's all business. Okay? It's a great reward. It's business. Okay? That's all it is. It's the only way to do it, only way to phrase it. You just can't. I mean, there's not going to be any of that stuff that goes with it. You're just playing this quarterfinal game. It's in the Fiesta Bowl. Great stadium, great site, natural grass, terrific opponent. Okay, there are 8 teams left that can win the national title. Penn State's one of them.
That weather's probably going to feel like heaven, though, when you get there.
You got that right. Oh, yeah, you are talking my lingo. Yes. So I said to Brian Tripp in the fourth quarter, I said, Brian, I guarantee you the next stop is warm.
I was watching a little bit of the bowl game before I came in. It looks even cold in Myrtle Beach today.
Oh, was it? I did not get a chance to. I haven't looked at it yet. I'm going to take some. I already have. Just if people are like, oh, we probably have a lot of work to do, but I already have it done. Sorry. But it's already done. So guess what I'm going to do? I am going to relax tonight and tomorrow. I already have the Penn basketball game done too. You're like, what do you mean the Penn basketball game? Just so you know what I'm doing, I am going to, since the team is going Saturday and Sunday is a walkthrough day, I am doing the Penn basketball game on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Should be off the air at 3:30, and I have a 5:30 flight to Chicago and then to Phoenix. And then I'm coming back New Year's Day. I don't think anybody cares, but I mentioned it anyway.
Well, I just need to know which button to push next Monday.
You're good. We'll go. We'll work that out later. Yeah, we'll work that out later as to what we're going to do here. As soon as I think of it. But I'm definitely here in the studio on Thursday and Friday, so I'm not going anywhere. Why not? We'll have some fun. Yeah. And then we're all going. We don't have Matt today, by the way. I mean, he is so rip-roaring mad over the Eagles thing.
They had to use Kenny Pickett with no practice time. They get a pass for that, though the Cowboys do worry me this week. Cowboys all of a sudden are playing fairly well.
Yeah. How about that? And you know what? Detroit won.
Yes, they did.
So now, essentially, you're 2 games back of the number 1 seed because they have the tiebreaker. Because guess what happened yesterday? Wasn't it Detroit just won? It was a conference game. I know it's a division game with the Bears, but it's a conference game. Right? The Eagles lost yesterday. And it wasn't just a division game. They lost a conference game. See, the conference, it turns out between these two, the conference is evidently the tiebreaker that gives Detroit the edge. So, I mean, Detroit gets one more win. They're the number one seed. Just what you wanted to hear.
I was just going to say, Minnesota's going to be a 13-win wild card.
The what?
I said Minnesota's going to be a 13-win wild card.
Yeah. No, Minnesota has a lot of narrow escapes.
Yeah.
And you know what? Give them credit. Now, remember a couple of years ago with Kirk Cousins, they, set a record with, 11 one-score victories? And they got to the playoffs and the Giants blew them out. Oh. All right, opening half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com and News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
The holidays are a time of year to celebrate and reflect. Reflect on the past year, a year filled with challenges and uncertainty. Uncertainty that bred resilience and hope. Hope for healing, change, new beginnings, and unity. United as one people, one community, by one mission, to safeguard and protect what matters most. From all of us at Purdy Insurance, we wish you health, happiness, and joy this holiday season and success in the new year.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Great to have you with us on the show today. And this half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. And a terrific service department that backs it up every step of the way. It is all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. And we are joined by the outstanding Rich Scarcella. Rich, it was a pleasure to see you on Saturday. Great to have you with us today.
Steve, always a pleasure for me to be with you.
Especially on a day where the Packers are playing.
Yeah, and I just got even better news. The Packers-Viking game on Sunday has been flexed to a 4:25 Eastern time, which is suitable for us to get work done before the kickoff.
Oh, well done. I love that.
Yes,
that's great.
I was thrilled.
Saturday.
2 minutes ago.
I just wanted to start with the atmosphere part of it. It's a little different because we have the windows open and the whole thing, as opposed to a closed press box. But what was at least your general impression of the atmosphere? Rich? I think we may have lost Rich.
I believe you're right. I will get on that.
Well, thank you very much, Todd. All right, so we'll get back to Rich Scarcella in just a few moments and talk with him about what he saw and everything that went with it on Saturday at Beaver Stadium. So, as Penn State beat SMU in the college football playoff opener 38-10. And just really, the defense set the tone to create a dominating performance by Penn State. And that's really what it ended up being. As I said, when I saw like 3 or 4 of the SMU players come out without shirts on, I looked over at Jack. I said, false bravado. Because that's what it is to me all the time. It's false bravado every time I see something like that. Because, who are you trying to convince, me or you? I
should be back, sir.
I wear a coat. Rich, your thoughts on the atmosphere from your perspective on Saturday in Beaver Stadium?
Electric. We had heard, looking at Ticketmaster in the week or so leading up to the game, there were a lot of tickets available, and with the weather, real field, 9 or 10 degrees at kickoff, didn't know really what to expect. I thought the turnout was magnificent. I thought the atmosphere was electric, and I think the crowd had a definite impact on SMU.
Yeah, I do too. I also feel there's a fine line between reckless and aggressive, and in watching the videos leading in, I felt that SMU skirted it. Was that in evidence on Saturday?
SMU skirted how they approached the crowd, or
no, in terms of how they play the game. I mean, there's between reckless and aggressive. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I thought it was aggressive right from the get-go, from the first series when. They on the 4th and 1 where they ran the bootleg, and Jennings just didn't throw a good pass to the tight end. He threw it to the wrong side, even though he was open. So I think they were aggressive for the most part. The one call that I still don't understand is kicking a field goal down 28-0 in the third.
That made no sense. That made no sense. All right, yeah. And I mean I know, and this tells you everything about the conditions, though. Rodgers is 15 of 21 beyond 40 yards with 7 50-yard field goals this season. Mm-hmm. That was a 42-yarder. Rich, he was short. It wasn't even close. Yeah,
it was. I'm even going back to the first one that down 28-0.
Yeah, that made no sense.
I don't make no. I mean, it makes no sense. And then you're right, Steve. On top of it are the weather conditions. What are you doing? And are you playing to win, or are you playing to have a respectable score at the end? I didn't get that at all.
No, it made no sense to me. The Penn State defense, to get 3 picks, 2 pick sixes, especially in the first half, from start to finish, what did you think of their performance?
I think it was outstanding. They were gap sound, meaning they played a very disciplined defense. They stayed in their lanes, and they dominated. I mean, that team was scoring 38 points a game and held them to 10, which is their season low. I wasn't surprised that Penn State's defense would have a big impact. SMU had only played one top 35 defense all year, and that was BYU, and BYU held them to 13 points. So that didn't surprise me, but they dominated. I thought all 3 linebackers played great. I thought the defensive line was wonderful, and the secondary wasn't tested much.
The running game, Jack and I talk about this all the time on our broadcast, that regardless of location of game, regardless of weather conditions, defense and your running game travel. Singleton had 97 yards from scrimmage. Allen had 98 yards from scrimmage. What was your thoughts on their performance in conjunction with the offensive line?
I was going to say, let me talk about the offensive line first. Not that I don't think highly of Nick or K-Tron. I think they're both great backs. I think the offensive line, these last 2 games, Saturday and then in the Big Ten title game against Oregon, were outstanding. The offensive linemen were outstanding, and to run for almost 300 yards against Oregon, which had a top 10 defense, has a top 10 defense, and to run for almost 200 yards against the 4th-ranked rushing defense in the country in back-to-back games, that tells me a lot. It says a lot about them. Yes, I agree with your premise and Jack's premise. I think defense and running game, very important in this playoff. And if you look at all 4 games last weekend,
Yeah.
The line of scrimmage, the teams that won the line of scrimmage, or actually the teams that won the game, dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Somebody had asked me if I would make any change in the format that they have. So the only change I would make is that, look, the NCAA tournament, for example, if you win the Big Ten championship game, it doesn't mean you're one of the top 4 seeds. You could end up on the 3 seed line, right, winning the Big Ten championship game. Because I think you have to use some basketball logic as to how it fits into football logic, right? I think you have to. I think they should seed them, Rich, 1 through 12, while giving the champions an automatic bid, but that doesn't mean you're one of the top 4 seeds. It means you could be seeded 7th.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's the tweak that I would make, because I'll give you an example. Down here in Berks County in high schools, there are 8 teams that make the basketball playoffs and other sports, and they had a system in place when they went to 3 divisions that the top 3 the 3 division champions not only get automatic berths, they got the top 3 seeds. And what was happening, the 4-5 game were 2 of the better teams in the league, and they're beating each other up. I think absolutely they should be seeded 1 through 12. I want to keep the automatic berths like you.
Yes.
I want to keep it for the conference champions. The only question I have is, besides the Power 4, do you leave one group of 5 team in? Like, how does that work? How will that work? But I think if it's 12, I think you can't have more than one group of 5, whatever. One, whatever. Mountain West, any of the other conferences. So yeah, I think you get a better, maybe you get better matchups in the first round. I don't know, but I think that's much more fair way to do it.
Yeah, and again, that doesn't mean I agree with Rich completely. Just because we're talking about, hey, you go 1 through 12, that, Ohio State plays Tennessee in an 8-9 game. Everybody thought that game was going to go to the 4th quarter. And Ohio State, as Rich said, dominated the offensive line in what was supposed to be, quote, the most competitive game of the weekend. So, I mean, whatever system it is, you're still going to get games like that. But I'd rather see that system than, with all due respect, Arizona State. You're telling me Arizona State's the 4 seed? Really?
Yeah, you can't. Like, if you are Oregon,
yep,
you're playing Ohio State. Texas is playing Arizona State.
Right.
That's an issue. Now, maybe, and again, having not sat in the meetings, the compromise they reached out to get it passed, I don't know. But I'm with you, 1 through 12. See them run 1 through 12, regardless if they're conference champions or not.
What does it mean? The next game is going to be the next game. And it's a business trip. There's going to be, you're not doing steak fries, and you're not going to be going out and visiting all the sites and things like that. This is all business. They're not even getting there until Saturday night. So, Rich, what did it mean, big picture, that Penn State got in and won the first game? And then I'll go with a couple of the questions after.
Steve, I think I wrote today in the print editions, I felt there was enormous pressure on Penn State and James Franklin to win that game. I thought the relief was visible. You could hear the emotion in his voice, and I don't think it was just over getting 100 wins, his 100th win at Penn State.
Right.
I think if Penn State had lost that game, I think the criticism of James, unfairly or fairly, would have grown exponentially. I do think, I was asked this earlier today, and I'm still not sure. Would you consider this a successful season right now, even if they lose to Boise State? And I said, I would, but I know there are a lot of critics out there who wouldn't, because they're favored by double digits against Boise State.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any question if they beat Boise State and they're in the semifinal against Georgia or Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl, that's a successful season. I don't know how you can argue otherwise. So, but I think it was I think there were a lot of fans who wanted to see a home playoff game and wanted to see them win. and they got their wish Saturday, and I think that's important.
Yeah, I mean, it's always something that I find interesting as you're watching a team go through and clearing hurdles, is that when people are not enamored with somebody, they keep moving the bar instead of maybe looking at the whole thing. And I'm kind of sick of people moving the bar. Just like, look at it realistically.
I mean, I got 2 emails in the last hour here. I was, James was on earlier on a Fiesta Bowl call, and I'm transcribing.
Right.
And both of them are critical of James. And I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, well, winning 12 games is the same as it was in 1994, 86, or and 73. Okay, it wasn't. I never, but it's still a pretty darn big accomplishment to win 12 games in a season. I don't care how you cut it.
Right.
I mean, but there are people out there. I mean, I don't know what it'll take for the criticism to stop. And it's a small,
right,
vocal minority. No. It's not the majority of the fan base.
No, look, they have their agenda. I understand that part.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you got to the playoff, which I think big. You had to get in the playoff, and you won at home against the number 10 team in the country. Whether you like their ranking or not, they were the number 10 team in the country. And now you got a shot to play Boise in the Fiesta Bowl and a shot to get to the semifinals. And again, like I said, if you get to the semifinals in this format and you lose to Notre Dame or Georgia, whatever, I mean, how do you consider that a failure? I just don't understand it.
Rich, there's a segment, and I'll label it 10%, 5 to 10%. Mm-hmm. You can tell me if I'm off base on the percentage.
Yeah.
That don't understand how difficult winning is.
Also true.
I mean, this is not an ESPN highlight show where it looks like it's easy to win. It's a real 3.5 hour game. Winning's hard, and that's what makes, like, you talk about 12 wins. Winning's hard. To do that 12 times, You've done a lot of difficult things to get to 12 wins, because this is not the same team that took the field against West Virginia in terms of personnel.
No, absolutely not. And, you're right. You're 100% right. It's winning 12 games in this day and age. Wow. I mean, that's really impressive. And the other thing is, how good does that loss to Ohio State look today?
Yeah.
I mean, not a loss is good, but you know what I mean. Like, Penn State had an opportunity to win the game. They didn't, but they had an opportunity to win the game. Right. Okay, and I know the fans are tired of close calls against Ohio State. I get that, but it tells you Penn State's pretty good, really good.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
I mean, again, you're at some point with that 5 to 10%. I'll use my mother's old expression. She used a different word, but it's like shoving garbage against the tide. I mean, it's like it doesn't matter. Yeah. She may have used a different word, a little more colorful.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. Nobody wants to win more than James Franklin. Nobody wants to win the national championship more than James Franklin.
Yeah.
And to say, I understand the frustration. And yes, he doesn't have a great record against top 5 and top 10 teams. I mean, we know that. Okay. But this program, over the last, especially beginning with 2016, it's been really good, really good. It just can't get over the hump. And as I brought up this morning to somebody who maybe isn't as old as you and I, Tom Landry was one of the great coaches in NFL history. Is still one of the great coaches in NFL history.
Yep.
I remember growing up. He can't win the big one.
Can't win the big one. I'll give you the other one. Okay? And because Landry, I've always thought of same thing. Can't win the big game. Then he won the Super Bowl. Okay? You know who the other one was? John Madden. John Madden was told over and over again he could not win the big game. Now, I happen to sit right next to one of the problems he had, Jack Ham, because they couldn't get past the Steelers. Okay?
Yeah.
And they finally got past the Steelers when Franco and Blyer were both out and couldn't play the AFC Championship game. They both got hurt in the playoff game with, I think, the Colts or somebody like that. And they won, and they won the Super Bowl. At that point on, Madden was golden in his life after that moment when they beat the Vikings. But before that, John Madden was the guy that for 10 years could not win the big one. And see, it's things like that. It's those narratives that crop up. And if you have a semblance of history like Rich and I do, we know how narratives work out.
Right. And Madden is considered one of the great NFL coaches of all time.
Yep.
And it's not the greatest, but he's one of the greatest.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, and then you look at like a Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney heard that for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, remember the old expression? They're Clemsoning. Yeah. Right? That was the old expression. They're Clemsoning. Then he won 2 national titles. Have you had any look at Ashton Jeanty this season at all?
Yeah, bits and pieces, but I know this. I voted for him for the Heisman Trophy. He was my number one spot. And as James mentioned about an hour or so ago, his yards after contact are ridiculous. It's like
1,800
yards or something.
It's 1,800. It's 1,800.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. And his average per game was, I don't know how many more yards than the guy who's second. It's 60, 70 yards. I can't remember. I didn't look at it recently. But he's going to be a handful. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? They're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay? They won their way in. They deserve to be there. Rich,
absolutely.
To you and your family, and it's a great family, by the way. I've had the privilege of meeting many of them. Happy holidays, and really looking forward to seeing you out in Phoenix.
Sounds good, Steve. Merry Christmas to you and yours, and to Todd, and thanks again for having me on. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Your perspective's invaluable to me. Thank you, Rich. The great Rich Scarcella. Reading Eagle. And this half hour has been brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, best in new inventory. I went with Ford this year. 2024 has been great to me because of that vehicle and that buying experience at Sunbury Motors. Full lot of pre-owned vehicles, all with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. And whether it's quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult, their service department handles it all. At Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory-trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.
A lot is happening at Brewers Outlet Sunbury. More singles, more 4-packs, more 6-packs, and more specials. We even have a new alcohol license. Ready-to-drink cocktails. Yes! Alcohol, High Noon, Stateside, Crown Royal, Jack Daniels, and many more. The Beverage Supermarket has a new pickle selection, along with fresh roasted peanuts. And Mick Ultra 30-packs are just $23.96. Don't forget a present for a friend. We are American-owned and operated. Now that's what I'm talking about.